I think authenticity these days is trumps everything. And it's good for the world to get to see that we spend a lot of time on calls together on Zooms just like this with each other, talking about deals, companies, talking to entrepreneurs, talking to our investors. And I'm really excited to get to introduce formally to the world that there are these two people that we've been working with for quite some time, probably 6, 7 years if we were to go back through the history of it, who we've known for 15 plus years, maybe more. And this is when we're really kind of formalizing the relationship. But Ram and Charlie, I'm really excited to introduce you guys to our audience for them to be able to get to know you a bit better. You're joining as venture partners in TI Ventures now formally, but you've been doing work with a lot of our portfolio companies and us for quite some time. Looking forward to digging into your backgrounds a little bit and helping the world understand why you for what we do. But I'd love to start with the same question that we ask on our podcast series, our interview series. It's the people. Charlie, can you give us your life story in 60 seconds or less?
Oof, man, what a question. I can do my best. So I will give the first 18 years in 1 second. I grew up in Chicago and I played a lot of soccer growing up, which is actually how I ended up meeting Wills. We both went to Colgate and were freshmen in 2003. So I think instead of 15 years, I think we've known each other actually for 21 years.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because that's older than we were when we first got there. But anyway, that aside, when you were plying your trade early in your career in finance, I ended up moving to LA and working at an internet advertising company early in the technology evolution of advertising. And then there's this kind of big transformation called real-time bidding that took place. So I ended up starting a mobile real-time bidding advertising technology platform with my brother when we were really young. And we bootstrapped that company from 2011 to 2014. And then in 2014, we sold that company to a publicly traded company, at which point I was a product manager put in charge of managing 4 or 5 different products that were intended to be put together in a roll-up. And I did that for about a year, and then I got the bug to start something new. So I ended up starting a sports technology company with a colleague that I'd met in the previous year through that larger company experience. He was from Ukraine. He ended up moving down the street from me in LA. We became friends, and like I mentioned, we started a sports tech company. We needed some software developers. He was from a city in Ukraine called Kharkiv. So we flew to Kharkiv, hired a team, worked on that for about 2 years, and found that we had a lot of users who were pretty excited about our product, but it was a tough market. So we ended up selling the IP of that to another startup and then ended up sort of accidentally starting this company called Scrum Launch, where we provide software development talent, product resources, designers, et cetera, to startups, basically providing full product and engineering functionality. And so that started in 2015. And it was great because I love working with startups. And fast forward to 2024, that company grew organically to about 150 people. We work with 50 or so startups. A lot of those that we've been working with for the longest time, and me working with personally, are the companies in the TIA portfolio. And it's been incredible to see those companies blossom from, I'll say, like ideas in a garage to much bigger companies with substantial revenue and real customers. And so it's just been incredible to be a part of that. And I'm very excited to now be more formally a part of that. And so if I were to summarize, what does that mean in terms of my background? I've spent a lot of the past 10 or so years on the product and engineering side, but I've been a founder myself multiple times. And I like to believe I understand the challenges and kind of like roadblocks and all the unexpected hurdles that go along with that. So just excited to help founders on their own journey and hopefully make less dumb mistakes than I've made. I think that was probably more like 120 seconds, but I'll turn it over to Ram for a
The
shorter.
only thing I'll add, Charlie, to that is, and this goes for Ram as well, you guys were both mentors also in the incubator that Andy and I helped start at Colgate back in 2009, 10. And the product that you mentioned, not by name, that you built prior to Scrum Launch was called VLoop. And we actually used that product to help our teams get better at coaching. It was a video-based tool for being able to like make suggestions at specific moments in the video. You were using it for sport, but we were using it for pitch coaching for entrepreneurs. So Ron, can I ask you to do the same? Your life story, since Charlie took 4 minutes, we'll give you 120 seconds, not 60.
Well, first of all, it's awesome to be here, and I think my life story starts with my time growing up in Palo Alto with two very technically sound parents who had no interest in their kid going into sales and the go-to-market side. So that's what I decided to do, which is do exactly what my parents never wanted me to do. And I found so much joy in it. And that joy comes from several years and several experiences, both being early as a co-founder of an early business, scaling a few businesses, and alongside that, now starting my own consulting business over the last couple of years. The most magical piece for me, in the last 30 years or so, is probably my time at Colgate. And that's what really sparked this conversation, because that's where I really went from somebody who was trying to find himself to finding someone who actually found a community of like-minded folks who all believed that we were kind of all underrated. No one's really heard of us. People make fun of the school name for a lot of different reasons, especially coming from the West Coast. Nobody even thought it was a real college. But when I got there, I met folks who were willing to work hard, had tremendous grit, never saw anything as a no. Everything was a yes if. And when I had that opportunity and that education and that culture built into me, I thought that was perfectly suited for going into the go-to-market side, where I started in the field of sales, where I was smiling and dialing 400 dials a day for 3.5 years to get people to buy wealth management software, wealth management, not even software, from Fisher Investments. And while performing at the highest levels there, I realized that was probably the worst thing possible for my health and wellness, and I thought law school would be even better. Never went, but decided to apply. And from there, joined some pretty remarkable companies in Eventbrite, helped build Social Tables and Blend, which is a fintech in the commercial lending space, and spent some time at Google as well on the cloud side. And what I learned from all those experiences is that go to market is ever evolving, and applying to the past to the present, may work in some cases. But most people today, most buyers today, everything is consistent, constantly changing. And the people at the tip of the spear are those who are making the calls and writing the emails to understand what those changes are. And what's remarkable is that spending about 14 years with TIA companies at this point, I've started seeing that evolution, and started seeing where new ideas, new founders can and start reaching buyers in different ways. And the things from the past, there's certain fundamentals that apply. We're in an ever-changing world with obviously the big AI word out there, but even more so the fact that buyers today want to opt in. And what I'm excited about is that Wills, Andy, Charlie, Alara, myself, and several others of our similar mindsets, where we find that we are founders who are looking to join and create tremendous companies, are constantly looking to learn, are always underrated, and are looking to unlock value in ways that nobody ever thought was possible. That's what I want to be a part of now and for the future in a more meaningful way. And I'm excited to join TIA Ventures.
Ram, I think you hit on a lot of things, in particular, that concept of unlocking value. If there's two, maybe three areas, but the third one is sort of related to the two that Andy and I have observed to be friction points for companies across 10 years of investing, 15 years of working with entrepreneurs, and many more years as operators of businesses. One is in this area that we call like product velocity. How quickly are you building more and more things that serve more and more needs of your customers, or not? And if you're not, the competition is probably catching up and your customer is probably getting bored with whatever you first built. And then the other one is on the go-to-market side, like how well are you reaching customers in a world where there's lots of choices, and are you able to actually cut through the noise and get them to hopefully opt in, to your point. So I think you, Ram, and you, Charlie, address two of these areas just like with a laser focus. I'm not sure I have a question so much as part of what gets us most excited on the team about you joining is your ability to help companies in those areas, and B, your ability to help us identify companies that we might want to partner with that are either good or bad in those areas, or have the potential to be good or bad in those areas.
I'll tell you one other thing. Having the skill sets is critical, but we're always preaching to our portfolio company founders, you need to get people on your team that have the intangibles that you cannot teach. And Wills and I are always talking, you can't teach creativity, can't teach a sense of humor, can't teach passion, drive, etc. So when we were thinking about what kind of partners do we want to add to TIA, that was a lot of what guided us, in addition to go-to-market, product velocity skills, etc. And the things I think that grabbed us about Charlie and Ram were exactly those things that you can't teach. The passion, the drive, they both have a relentlessness about them, and they dig and then keep digging deeper into our portfolio companies to help their founders travel a path they have not traveled before. So
It,
Looking
just on
very
Andy's
handsome.
point, the last thing I'll add is I love it when people push the pace, and you guys push the pace in a lot of ways. I will say the one way that I feel it the most, we have a Slack channel that includes all of the team, all of our companies and founders, and that Slack channel has been on fire over the past, I'd say 6 months since we added you to a way more of it. So yeah, it's awesome how you guys push the pace here. Hopefully this all doesn't come across as too self-congratulatory to the world, but we thought it'd be great to share with you this exciting news and give you a better feel for who we are and who we're becoming.